Is on. Use the opportunity to register to vote. On the news this afternoon, Governor Fubara appoints new SSG and Chief of Staff. ABC forms subcommittees ahead of 2026 National Convention. President Tinubu tasks acting IGP with tackling banditry and terrorism. Power generation CEO blames poor electricity supply on distribution and transmission inefficiencies. On the foreign scene, North Korea to expand nuclear arsenal demands U.S. recognition. I'm Ifechukwu Muonyili with the news. Now, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has made his first cabinet appointment after President Bola Tinubu intervened for the third time in the Rivers State political crisis. In a statement released on Thursday by his chief press secretary, Onwoka Nzishi, the governor appointed Dr. Dagogo Wokoma as secretary to the state government and Sunny Ewule as chief of staff. The statement says the appointments take effect immediately. Both men will be sworn in at 2 p.m. on Thursday at the Executive Council Chamber, Government House, Port Harcourt. Well, moving on now. The All Progressives Congress has set up subcommittees for its 2026 National Convention to ensure the event is transparent and credible. The committees will handle key areas such as operations, administration, election, logistics, security, and programs to ensure a smooth convention. In a statement signed by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, the ABC urges committee members to carry out their duties carefully and in line with the party's constitution and guidelines. The party also assures members and Nigerians that it is committed to organizing a credible convention that strengthens internal democracy and promotes its progressive ideals. Well, away from politics to development on the security architecture in Nigeria, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has officially resumed duty. He took over the role after being formally decorated by President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday at the State House in Abuja. The ceremony took place just one day after his appointment. Speaking to journalists after the event, Disu pledged to promote accountable, modern, and professional policing.
Area of impunity is over. I will ensure that I train them and encourage them to ensure they follow human rights. I will ensure that they know that I will try to follow a regime of zero tolerance to corruption. And most importantly, I'm going to drum it into them that we can never succeed without the cooperation of members of the public.
Also speaking, former Inspector General of Police, Kayode Betoku, expressed confidence that Disu will surpass his achievements in office.
My advice to him again is that he knows all those things we've been doing together, restructuring our intelligence coordination, improving interagency deployment model, dismantling several criminal syndicates. I'm sure he's going to continue to do that, and improving our intelligence response mechanisms. I have so much confidence that he will surpass what I have done.
Disu's appointment follows the resignation of Ebetoku, who cited pressing family issues. Before his appointment as Acting Inspector General of Police, Disu headed the Force Criminal Investigation Department Annex in Alabo, Lagos, as Assistant Inspector General. He was promoted last year. Prior to that, Disu served as Commissioner of Police in Rivers State and was later transferred by former IGP Ebetoku to Abuja to lead the Federal Capital Territory Police Command. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has elected the Acting Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, to address banditry, terrorism, and other security threats across the country. He gave the charge on Wednesday during Disu's decoration as acting IGP following the retirement of Kayode Betoku. The president describes the appointment as coming at a crucial time and urges Disu to rebuild public trust in the police by working closely with other security agencies. He also tasks him with advancing the security goals of the administration's renewed hope agenda. Tinubu expressed confidence in Disu's discipline, experience, and leadership, assuring him of the federal government's full support in restoring peace and strengthening security nationwide.
for you to assume this responsibility because I know your record. I believe in dedication that you've exhibited while you were in Lagos and I was the governor of Lagos State. And now you assume this responsibility at a defining moment for our nation's security and expect you to strengthen discipline, enhance interagency collaboration, and restore public confidence in Nigerian police. Lead firmly but fairly, demand professionalism at every level, and ensure that safety of lives and property remains our highest priority.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu is urging the National Assembly to begin the process of amending the constitution to allow the creation of state police to address Nigeria's security challenges. He made the appeal during an interfaith breakfast, breaking of fast with senators at the presidential villa on Wednesday, citing terrorism, banditry, and insurgency as reasons for urgent action. Tinubu stressed the state police would enable governors to respond faster to local threats and improve community policing, while commending lawmakers for their support in tackling security issues. And just 24 hours after his appointment, Nigerians are already expressing high expectations and outlining demands for the acting IGP. The Chancellor of the International Society for Social Justice, Dr. Omenazu Jackson, wants DISU to take urgent steps to rebrand policing in Nigeria and restore public confidence in the Nigeria police force. Speaking in an interview with correspondent Mekotaka, Dr. Jackson says DISU performed relatively well during his tenure as Commissioner of Police in Rivers State, noting that his appointment presents a fresh opportunity to reform the police and rebuild its image.
The former Commissioner of Police in Rivers State. While he was there, he did his best, but we, as an Inspector General of Police, were expecting more because Nigeria is large. He worked as a Commissioner of Police in one state, Rivers State. Now he's expected to work in 36 states, including Abuja. So he has a larger scope of work and expectations for deliverables as a number one police officer in the country. But we're expecting diligent policing. We're expecting due observation of human rights in terms of policing in Nigeria. We want to see a different police organization and police institution in this country. Truth be told, Nigerian police have not been able to endear themselves to the populace which they are policing.
Dr. Jackson is also asking the acting IGP to prioritize institutional reforms, capacity building, and community-oriented policing strategies to strengthen security and improve relations between the police and citizens across Nigeria. Also lending his voice, an elder statesman, Anab Saraiwe, expressed confidence in DISU's ability to tackle criminality in the country, citing his experience and background. He adds that the new police boss is expected to bring a human face to policing in Nigeria.
When he was a commissioner here, we worked with him. He has a good relationship with a lot of us. And we believe that he will change the image of the Nigerian police. That we are very sure. And I think with his background, he will be able to fish out the criminal element in the country. Because besides experience, he's a criminology. So what I know. So I'm sure he's going to tackle criminality in Nigeria. But the most important thing, he will put human face to the people. He was a commissioner when there was a lot of militancy and other criminal vices. He was able to contain some of these vices, and he has a very good public relation image.
Well, similarly, a lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt, Tamonotoye Zoe, is urging the newly appointed acting IGP, Olatunji Disu, to implement modern, people-centered policing strategies in carrying out his duties. Zoe made this call in an interview with correspondent Suebi Oruwari. He says Disu's tenure as Commissioner of Police in Rivers State was marked by professionalism and effective security management.
He was once a commissioner in Rivers State, and during his tenure, he was actually, to some extent, within the Nigerian context, he was professional, he was unbiased, and he was able to contend with the security situation in Rivers State and brought some level of normalcy. And being appointed as IGP now, he must have improved in his capacity, competence, and ability. So we are expecting that the new IGP will not only be professional, but will bring his competence and capacity to the job.
Well, he further urges the acting police chief to break away from the long-standing practice of prioritizing the interests of the political class over those of ordinary citizens, stressing that policing should remain neutral, accountable, and people-focused. Let's go on a quick break now. When we return, Power Generation CEO blames poor electricity supply on distribution and transmission inefficiencies. Stay with us. Back. Now the rest of the news. The Chief Executive Officer and Executive Secretary of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Dr. Joy Ogachi, is blaming the country's irregular power supply on inefficiencies in the transmission and distribution arms of the power sector. Speaking on Nigeria Info FM's Morning Crossfire on Thursday, Dr. Ogachi explains that distribution companies have failed to invest adequately in their networks to improve their capacity to receive and distribute electricity. She says power generation companies are currently unable to operate at full capacity because distribution companies can only take about 30% of the electricity generated, leaving a large portion unused. She adds that the situation has limited the ability of generation companies to produce more electricity, stressing that improved investment in transmission and distribution infrastructure is necessary to ensure stable power supply.
Since we are the people generating and looking at how our business is stranded, we engage an expert to do an investigation on the network of the distribution companies. What they found out is since the privatization, the distribution companies have not invested on their network to improve their capability to take more power. So out of 100%, they are only available for 35%. Distribution companies are saying that people transmission has not done any investment to give them more power. So what we need to find out is how can generation companies give power directly to Nigerians?
Moving on now, we go to Eche local government area where the chairman, Chima Boniface Njoko, has officially assigned portfolios to the recently appointed supervisors and special advisors as part of ongoing efforts to strengthen governance and enhance service delivery across the council. Njoko, in a statement, charged the appointees to justify the confidence reposed in them by demonstrating dedication, transparency, and commitment to the development of the area. According to the statement, Moses Irebu is now the supervisor for works. Okere Chimene is the supervisor for transportation. Ume Henry Oporum is supervisor for youth development. Amadi Victor is supervisor for culture and tourism. And Dr. Samuel Chinaka Azuna is the supervisor for education. Other special advisors are Prince Wafo, special advisor on chieftaincy affairs. Kingsley Onyeche, special advisor on agriculture. Hope Adampa Anunobi, special advisor on special duties. Ike Nwala, special advisor on land matters, and Oluchi Obunna, special advisor on women affairs. Njoko said the appointments and subsequent allocation of portfolios are aimed at promoting effective administration, accelerating grassroots development, and ensuring that critical sectors receive the attention they deserve. He urged the appointees to work collaboratively with relevant stakeholders and align with the administration's vision of sustainable growth, infrastructural development, youth empowerment, and inclusive governance in Eche. In other news, it was a moment of triumph for Vedocrest Schools and Pleroma International High School as both institutions emerged winners at the semi-final stage of the Nigeria Info Ibector DIFA debate competition, securing their spot in the grand finale. In the first debate, Vedocrest Schools went head-to-head with Silverbird International School on the motion, vaccine refusal should attract punishment. The debate was intense and closely contested, with both teams presenting compelling arguments. At the end of the gripping exchange, Venocrest Schools won with 99.5 points, surpassing Silverbird International School's 90.5 points.
I shall be presenting enumerated points backed by statistical and epidemiological data beyond mere claims and limited understanding. The main law governing infectious disease control in Nigeria is the Quarantine Act. Under this act, the government has the right to make regulations to prevent the infectious spread of diseases. Refusal to comply with these public health orders should attract penalties, fines, or even imprisonment.
A healthy nation is important, but a free nation is essential, because when the government controls what enters your body, the question is no longer about safety but about control. Punishment violates fundamental human rights. The former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan once said, "Human rights are universal and indivisible. If the state can punish you for what enters your body, then your body no longer belongs to you, it belongs to the state."
A second debate saw Pleroma International High School compete against Laurel's Model College on the topic, corruption is a symptom of flawed systems, not flawed people. The contest proved to be equally engaging and competitive. After a tight deliberation, Pleroma International High School emerged victorious, scoring 99 points against Laurel's Model College's 89.5 points. With their wins, Venocrest Schools and Pleroma International High School will now go head-to-head in the grand finale next week to determine the overall champion of the competition.
While they claim corruption is the flaw of the individual, once again, I beg to differ. But your opponent implies that power corrupts an individual. But a system that is designed that when the only way to get a promotion, a bonus, or to even retain your job is to cut corners, then greed is not a flaw. It then becomes an instruction manual. Weak institutions only reduce detection, not fault theft. Dora Kuni has proven that integrity can still thrive in a weak system. Do you know that in 2025, a psychological analysis was made and shown that corrupt decisions are made based on moral beliefs and personal emotions, not institutional compulsion? You also made mention of individual integrity. Individual integrity is the seed of systematic change, and without it, there's no change at all. Every system was an idea in someone's mind. Every reform was a choice in someone's heart.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
President Kim Jong-un has announced plans to expand North Korea's nuclear weapons program and increase its range. Speaking at the 9th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea, he says the United States must accept that North Korea's nuclear weapons are permanent. Kim stated that relations with the U.S. depend on Washington's attitude, adding that his country is ready for either peaceful coexistence or confrontation. He also dismissed any possibility of improved ties with South Korea, calling it the North's most hostile entity.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this afternoon, you heard Governor Siminalayi Fubara has appointed a new SSG and Chief of Staff. We told you that the APC has formed subcommittees ahead of its 2026 National Convention. You heard that President Bola Tinubu has tasked the acting IGP with tackling banditry and terrorism. We reported that Power Generation CEO is blaming poor electricity supply on distribution and transmission inefficiencies. And on the foreign scene, North Korea is set to expand its nuclear arsenal and is demanding U.S. recognition. The news was edited by Ifunanya Obeme Ndukwe. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I am Ifechukwu Muonyili. Many thanks for listening.